Hey, it's Lori. I'm coming to you today with another video about narcissism. And the topic today is going to be cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance occurs when our minds are confused and we're trying to reconcile two things that are contradictory to one another. For instance, my narcissistic husband constantly tells me he loves me and that he wants to be with me. But his actions do not match that at all. He lies to me, he gaslights me, trying to tell me that what I see before my eyes is not really happening. The ultimate form of cognitive dissonance, in my opinion, is trying to call evil good and good evil. And we know that the Bible says, somewhere in Isaiah, call evil for evil and good for good, right? So, also, God is not the author of confusion. God is very clear in his intent, in his word, in his plan of salvation. God is so straightforward, so clear. But the enemy is so confusing. The false pagan gods of the Canaanites were so confusing. You didn't ever really know what they were thinking, and that is exactly what separates Christianity from polytheism. Christianity is the only religion, or shall I say faith, for lack of a better word. It's the only salvation history through the Bible, the biblical account, Judaism and Christianity fulfilled in Jesus Christ, is the most straightforward book you'll ever read that can prove itself against itself. It tests itself against itself. And there's so many, that's called internal evidence, but there's so much external evidence about the Bible that I'm not even going to cover that right now. But what I am saying is that God made himself personal in history. So much so that he came in the form of a human being who gave his life for you and me. And people choose instead not to see that. They see that, non-believers see that as closed-minded. Oh, well, you're just going to believe in the Bible, something you're going to take on faith. But really, it's the most straightforward. I mean, faith is great. We need faith. But God gave us every single ounce of proof. In my opinion, it's proof. And I don't want to get too sidetracked, but he's the author. He's the author and finisher of our salvation. He did not make it confusing at all. The one message of the Bible is redemption in Jesus Christ. That we're all sinners and we're all saved by grace through faith in Jesus Christ. But a narcissist uses cognitive dissonance to confuse, acting as an antichrist or Jezebelian spirit that says, I'm not really sure. They make you wonder, did I really see that, or did he really say that? Because they repeat it so often, the lies, that you actually wonder, is this true? And it's me. That's how insidious it is and how crazy-making it is. But I do believe, what I was saying before, and I'm not sure if I made this clear, is that the ultimate cognitive dissonance, in my opinion, is believing that, is allowing ourselves to believe that people are evil. Because as just people, even if we're not Christian, we still have a moral compass if we're not narcissists, and we still believe in the best in people. We don't want to believe that anyone would be purposely hurting us or trying to confuse us or make us question our own reality. So that, for me, has been the hardest thing to reconcile, and that is, in my opinion, which I haven't fully researched, so I'm saying my opinion, is that is how the narcissist keeps us hooked in. We want to believe that they love us or loved us the same way that we loved them. It's so hard to believe that this person didn't really love us when they told us they loved us all the time. They made things appear good on the outside for the outside world. So you had a sense, or I had a sense, being married to him, of status in the community, that I was married, that I was, I had the home, I had the husband, I had the savings account, we had our nest egg and our retirement. It sounds good on paper, and it's so hard to say, I'm going to go back to being single at 60 years old and starting over. I mean, that's a really tough thing. And I'm in the throes of that right now. And I'm still not certain on my decision 100%. But I have come to the point where I realize that gaslighting and confusing another person for the sake of building yourself up and having fun doing it, that's just evil. I mean, there's no real other word for that. You can't really love a person and try to confuse them. I mean, as Christians, which I'm speaking with a presupposition that the people watching this are, whether you are or not, speaking with a presupposition that we're Christian, is we can't imagine somebody saying they love us and hurting us at the same time. And there is a new study, a bunch of popular psychological, the new buzzword in psychology is mindfulness. And in mindfulness, there's dialectical behavioral training, which a lot of therapists use these days, where you're supposed to say, where they get you to understand that two things can be the same at once. A person can be good and evil at the same time. You can be happy about something and sad about something else at the same time. And that's important to recognize that. But I think when it comes to narcissism, it can be damaging because you might tend to make excuses for the narcissist's bad behavior. And that is exactly what our responsibility as codependents is. We are making excuses for another person's bad behavior because at the beginning they love bombed us. We bought into it. We wanted to believe it was true, even though it was probably too good to be true. I'm going to make a video for a later time about that we did have signs at the beginning that we chose to ignore. They may seem small, but we brushed them aside, and we gave that person the benefit of the doubt. Because that's what we always do as codependents. We give the person the benefit of the doubt. We don't want to bear false witness against anyone. We make excuses for other people, all while our own needs are being stifled and our own energy is being sucked, the life force is being sucked out of us. And this person in our life is the perpetrator of that. And we're excusing it. And not only do we excuse it, but sometimes we even apologize to them when they've hurt us. This is so familiar. I mean, they have such a manipulative nature. They have us convinced that there's something wrong with us, that we're crazy in some way. And it's not surprising since we're the people that were the scapegoats of the family. We're the secret keepers. We're the ones that we were truthful and honest, and we confronted our families to our detriment of ever having a family again because you had to be quiet. at all costs, you couldn't speak up. And that's the price, the ultimate cost of being with a narcissist. You can't speak up. You can't have feelings. You can't have boundaries. You can't have needs. You can't even have a perception of your own thoughts and realities, because they will be confused. You'll have it reflected back to you, their constant disapproval. Whether it's in subtle or overt ways, you will have constant disapproval reflected back to you. You may do all the affirmations and inner child nurturing that you want to do. You may tell yourself you love yourself, that God loves you, and that's the truth. That is the truth. God does love you. Jesus died for you, and he adores you. He loves you. He did not make you to worship anyone but him, not yourself and not another person. He made us to be co-heirs with Christ, and our relationships are supposed to be as friends would be. And then, to me, that's what I want. I'd rather have a friend than somebody who's going to emotionally suck the life out of me and make me feel like my feelings aren't valid or that they matter. So anyway, that's just a quick expose on cognitive dissonance and how important it is to realize when you're in it. Because, okay, now this may seem crazy, but this is the sign. Cognitive dissonance makes you go, I think this, but then, he loves me, over in your mind, because you're like, that doesn't make sense. And then you even try to tell him, you're like, well, you say you love me, and yet you keep betraying my trust, you keep lying to me, you keep doing the same things that we've worked on for years with therapists, like about finances, you keep trouble, you keep losing jobs, and it's never your fault, and nothing ever changes. And then, if you're lucky, as I have been to make it this far, to be away from your narcissist for 4 months, but you still have minimal contact, you start thinking, well, he did some good things. He did a lot of good things, maybe he's not that bad. And you start you start going through all that. Maybe he just needs another chance. This is your enemy. This is the enemy. Because the truth is, that person never changed. That person's going to continue to be that person. They're not going to change their whole personality. And why would they? If they can get you to carry all their emotions, all their confusion, if they can get you to take all the crap and they don't have to have an ounce of it to themselves, why wouldn't they? So I'm sharing this as my struggle, praying that I will get through this and see light at the end of the tunnel, knowing that God will provide, and that even though I've been, for lack of a better phrase, held in captivity. Now, I did it. I did it to myself. I put myself in captivity. Not going back to captivity. I'm not. It might be financially challenging. It's going to be challenging in every way. But I am not going back. Because in my mind, in my heart, I know who God is. And God is not the author of confusion. God is the author of life. Jesus Christ came to give us life and life to the fullest. And if we're not living for him, then we're not being obedient. So anyway, thank you for watching. Have a blessed day. God bless you.